All right, well, welcome to the 2019-2020 Monticello Girls Basketball Banquet. A little bit different than in years past, obviously, but I hope you enjoy the program that we have for the girls and for the season. Something new this year, there'll be a highlight video at the end for the kids, I'm sure, are going to enjoy, and the families as well. Before we get started, I'd like to thank a few people. First of all, we'd like to thank our families for allowing us to coach. Obviously, my wife Rebecca coaches volleyball, and then we come right into basketball season. It's kind of a transition period where I'm at home after school, and then she's coming home after school, but the kids aren't there. So just thank her for everything she does during basketball season. Thank the teaching staff here in Monticello. They're great to work with. The kids definitely always are talking positively about the teachers. If we have a long road trip, get back late, the teachers are understanding the next day in many cases. Thank the custodians for getting the gym ready to go, especially John Babler. He was Mr. Gym Floor Scrubber this year. Mr. Pollock, pep band, was great this year. He also helped out with the clock. I don't think he did a very good job of doing the possession arrow, but that's another story. Miss Becker, she also helped with the clock and book. Emily Curry was also traveling with us to do the book, very valuable. And then Rich Bailey, who helped to put this video together. Very important thank you goes out to the parents, obviously. Team dinners were great this year. It was nice to see the email stream where who wants to contribute, and we had every parent contributing. Of course, getting the kids to practice, coming to the games, and being supportive. We couldn't have a program without the help of the parents. Also want to thank Coach Brockup for all that she did this season. She was able to get a few JV games in. She also was very valuable on the bench. Many times during the game, she'd offer some suggestions that we would implement, and they seemed like they always worked. And it was nice to be able to talk to somebody about basketball that actually knew what they were talking about, rather than pretending they knew like Coach Butzler did last year. So without further ado, Coach Brockup is going to talk a little bit about the JV.
Hello, and thank you, Mr. Gus. I appreciate that. First of all, I'm going to reiterate some of the thank yous that Mr. Gustafson did as well. I would like to thank Mr. Pollock, pep band, national anthem announcer, also known as the Candy Man, always having some mints and stuff ready for us at the table. Emily Curry, thank you so much for doing the book. Like Gus said, traveling with the team most days, and it was just really helpful to know that was taken care of. Managers, I know how hard of a job that you have. I'd like to thank you for your dedication to the game of basketball and to this team. The little things that you did on a daily basis, like laundry, stats, water bottles, running the clock, setting up, tearing down, it didn't go unnoticed. And most days you were jumping in and helping us with drills and practices, especially on the JV end, and I really appreciate that. Parents, thank you for getting your kids where they need to be, for supporting the team and being at the games. We really appreciate it. I'd also like to take some time to thank my dog, Raina. She was always there for me and the girls when we got home. Sometimes with the girls and I coming home from practice, it's like she knew when we needed to be left alone. She knew when we needed kind of like, her at our side in that cuddling moment. And thank you, Alan, as well. We appreciate everything that you did and having dinner ready and things, so thank you. So this year's JV season was a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but I will have to say that I thought the girls handled it really, really well. We started off the season and we were practicing as one team. varsity, JV, usually at one end of the court. Once in a while, we might split up. It might be just for some specific drills. Well, then word kind of got spreading throughout the school, and all of a sudden we had some people who joined mid-season. And I will tell you that I speak for myself, I think for Coach Gustafson, that we were extremely happy to see these girls who added mid-season. I know the girls that were currently already out really appreciated that as well. It allowed us to then kind of go into a normal like basketball mode, and we were able to split and go down and work on some JV things, and then Gus had some varsity things going, and then we were actually able to get up and down the court too and scrimmage. So thank you all around for all the time and effort that the JV players put in this year. I am just going to take a couple minutes to talk about each individual player. And I have kind of a special award that actually I think I stole from Rebecca Gustafson at one volleyball banquet that I saw. And they are kind of candy related awards. So without further ado, let's start with Ellie Gustafson. Ellie, athletic. Okay, that's like the first word that comes to mind. Super athletic. She's a floor leader just by the way she played. She brought another level of play and the minutes that she played to our JV games, and was our top scoring player. Therefore, Ellie Gustafson gets the SCORE award. You are a top scoring player. Ellie, I will get this to you when I can, along with your candy bar. Hayden Wing. Smiley, quiet, but funny. I didn't know how funny she was, and I really came to appreciate her humor. Incredible improvement. I guess if I were to throw out one regular award this year for improvement, that would go to Hayden Wing. And her candy bar is the Fun Dip. You are always eager to play and have fun. Thank you, Hayden. Addison DiChristina, Addie, you made people laugh. You had a lot of awesome one-liners, standing in huddles and things like that. You improved both in skill and confidence this year. I think you kind of kept things in check for everyone, and you lightened the mood when needed. Therefore, you are getting the Laffy Taffy Award. You are full of humor and always make the team laugh. Congratulations. All right, Caitlin Eiler. Caitlin, super hard worker. Willingness to be the point guard. And I know, Caitlin, it wasn't your most favorite thing. And it got tough, and you handled it really well. You stepped in a tough position in the middle of the season, and you always gave 100%. Therefore, your award is the 100 grand. You always give it 100% effort. Good job. All right, the next award goes to Alyssa Holcomb. Alyssa is a natural-born leader. She doesn't have to even really try really hard. I feel like she just knows kind of what to say, how to say it. Girls listen. I listen. And so she was a great addition to the team. Willingness to work hard, listen, and execute. And her award is the Starburst Award. You are always bursting with energy and excitement. Thank you, Alyssa. Delenn Gillespie, good rebounder. We enjoyed her heights this year. She was quiet, but she worked really hard when she was there. Her award is the Mr., or I could call it Miss, Good Bar Award. You are kind and have good sportsmanship. Thank you, Delenn. All right, the next award goes to Sarah Brockup. Sarah's a good floor leader because of her knowledge of the game of basketball. She often thought more like a coach when she was on the floor rather than a player, which I know that her teammates mentioned more than once, that they'd had no idea with time running out, like what play they should, who to follow, what, and Sarah just be like, she just handle it out there on the court. So therefore, you receive the Crunch Award. You always come through in a crunch. Thank you. And last but not least, Macy Freitag. Macy, you are a great addition to this team. You improved because of your hard work and your willingness to get better. A great learner of the game, incredibly smart. You were listening and applying what you learned whenever you could in game situations. Therefore, you are getting the M&M Award, which is you are a motivated and magnificent player. So congratulations. Again, I would just like to thank everyone for a great season, for working hard, and I look forward to whenever we can get back in the court again this summer, hopefully. But good job to all.
All right, thank you, Coach. I'm going to talk a little bit about the varsity season, do a summary, then we will have a little slideshow that has each girl highlighted, and I'll talk a little bit about them. So let's just talk a little bit about varsity. Every coach before the year starts, I know, counts what games they should win, what games they could win, what games they probably aren't going to win. Blackhawk would be an example. I thought coming into the year we had a good chance of winning 7 or 8 games. We would have to play well to win more than that. I knew we were going to struggle with pressure defense and being able to handle the ball against the press, which we did struggle with at times. But we ended up using a committee of girls to try to handle the pressure as best we could. Our shooting stats, we shot 33% two-pointers, 29% three-pointers, and our free throw percentage was 53%. Overall, we did end up going 9-14 on the year, which I think was a little bit better than what we had anticipated. Probably could have been a little bit better, but I guess we'll take 9 wins. Few of the games, some of the highlights. Against Williams Bay, I remember at halftime we were struggling. Came out in the second half. We ended up winning that game by 19 points. Great second half by Mackie Eartham. Johnson Creek, probably the hardest game to watch all season long because both teams, I think, combined for about 655 turnovers. Luckily, I think we turned it over a few less times than Johnson Creek. We went into overtime and ended up winning that game. Then we went to Madison Country Day. That was a good game. We won easily. Mackie had 22 points and 16 rebounds in that game. Then we made our annual trip to Just a Game Fieldhouse in the Dells to play Weston. Harley just came back from a wrist injury. We had 3 girls, Maya, Mackie, and Harley were all in double figures in scoring. There were a lot of positives from that game. One of the things is the court up there is 8 feet longer than a regulation high school court, and the girls still were able to run that extra 8 feet up and down the court without anybody passing out, so that was good. Judah, Maya had 6 3-pointers that game, led us with 21 points. It was a good game, probably one of our best games of the year up to that point. Then we played Orangeville at home. Mackie and Harley combined for 35 points. We made a lot of free throws down the stretch to win. One of the strangest games I thought all year was at Benton. Maya, Ellie, Mackie, Alexa, and Harley all were in double figures in scoring. It was frustrating because it seemed like Benton was making everything that they threw up, and it wasn't pretty. A little bit concerned to start the game. Finally, we took the lead at halftime and then pulled away down the stretch. So that was a road game. It was a good win for us. Then we went to Pecatonica. Didn't play well except for Maya, who had 7 3-pointers in the first half. We lost a close game. Didn't really seem like we had what we needed to play the way we should have. We did get them at home about a week and a half later. We dominated that game from start to finish. Ended up winning by 21 points. Maggie, Mackie, and Harley all had double figures. I thought that was one of our best games of the year. Then we played Judah at home. Would end up being our last win of the year. Maya had a great game. She had 31 points, 6 3-pointers. Harley had 17 points. Game was a little bit closer in the end than we were hoping it would be, but we did a good job to pull away in the end and won that one comfortably. Very rarely do we ever talk about Blackhawk games because a lot of times those are the games where we want them to get over with as fast as possible. I can remember going to Blackhawk this year. Was the last regular season game. The talk in the bus was that they were going to score 100 points. That was their goal. It was senior night, blah, blah, blah. Well, I just watched that game film, and we were tied at 6 with 12 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the first half. And we had a 3-point shot that we didn't make that would have put us up 9-6 with about 12 minutes to go in the first half, which probably no team was leading Blackhawk at that time of the season. I thought if that shot would have went in, I was going to call timeout. We would all take a picture in front of the scoreboard during that timeout, and then maybe leave the gym. So anyway, all in all, it was a good year. Those are some of the highlights. There were some lowlights, but we won't talk about those. So now, going to do a little slideshow that kind of talks about all of the girls on the team individually. We have some stats up there on the screen, so if you have some time, take a look here. So we'll start off with the managers. Delana Trumpy. Carly Wilkins is with 2 E's, I know, my bad, and Sadie Wilkins. They were the managers. As Coach Brockup said earlier, they were very busy during practice and games. They were, recording the games, doing stats, getting water for the girls. They'd get towels, ice. Most importantly, probably, they went to my office to get snacks for the girls when practice started. They ran the clock. They stepped in for drills in practice, and they even got in for some scrimmage time in the practice. So sometimes they would practice themselves, and then they would get on the bus and come along with us to a game. So they were extremely valuable, extremely important. It's great to know that they'll be 8th graders next year so they can manage for one more season. All right, so on to the players. First of all, the freshman, Delenn Gillespie. She played in 5 games at the varsity level. She had a few stats, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 points, and the highlight of her season was scoring a basket against Weston up in the Dells at the Just a Game field house. She missed the free throw for the and one, but it was great to score up there. Next up, Hayden Wing, number 10, or number 11, depending on if it was practice. She played in 11 varsity games. I can remember a couple times where she got a rebound close to the basket. Instead of shooting it, she looked to pass it to someone else. I figure she'll learn eventually that if you get a rebound close to the basket, you need to shoot it. But anyway, Hayden got in for 11 varsity games. Last freshman, Ellie Gustafson. She had a lot of positive statistics. She had a good freshman season. She had some really good games, and then some games that, most freshmen go up and down as the year progresses. Against Benton, she scored on some nice moves to the basket. She was able to get some key rebounds at times. She can jump just like her dad used to be able to. She tied for 3rd place on the team with 215 plus minus points or performance points. And most importantly, she told me she's going to be a lockdown defender next year. She also was the recipient of the Newcomer of the Year award. So now on to the sophomores. Sarah Brockup. She played in 19 varsity games. Some of those times it was an important time for her to go in and give us some minutes because of foul trouble or because we wanted her to go in and provide a spark. She is probably the most knowledgeable teammate that we have when it comes to understanding the game of basketball. The thing that I'm sure we'll all miss most is probably the little fighting her and Maya did from time to time during practice, before games, during games, after games. I think there was only one time during a game where they both were yelling at each other. But next year, we're anticipating that Sarah is going to be a major contributor to the varsity. Addie DiChristina is the next sophomore. She played in 6 varsity games. I combed through the statistics. She did have 1 rebound. She had a great attitude. Fun to have around, like Coach Brockup said. She always had something funny to say, and she was just a joy to have on the team. The next sophomore is Caitlin Eiler. She came out late, midway through the season, but did eventually work her way into some meaningful varsity minutes. You could see her improve every day in practice. Her first 3-point shot that she took in practice when she just started playing was a little scary, but it did get better as the year went on. She did score 2 points against Albany, at Albany, on the varsity level. And again, she's another sophomore who's going to be making a big jump to playing significant varsity minutes next year. The last sophomore, Macy Freitag. She's another one who came out a little bit late in the season, but we're glad she did. She also was fun to have around. She did get in for 5 varsity games. She's one of the few players on the team that would beg not to get into the games, but the ones that she did get into, she played hard. And she is a lot better than she gives herself credit for. She did attempt a 3-point shot that I did put in the highlight video, so I'll be looking for that. All right, so now on to the juniors. Alyssa Holcomb, number 52. She again was one of the players that started midway through the year. She always told me she was going to play next year, or I'll play next year. And then it comes to the start of the season, and then she's like, I'm too busy. She always had an excuse. I was glad she finally came out, and I know she was glad that she finally came out. Again, just like Coach Brockup said, she's a natural leader. She says the right things. She did get into 6 varsity games. She did block a shot. She had an assist to Harley at Barneveld. That's on the highlight video. She also had a buzzer beater attempt at Benton that just missed, but that is also on the highlight video. So Alyssa and the 3 other girls who came out midway through the season, we were really glad that they did. I know Coach Brockup was probably the most glad because there were a few times that we almost needed her to run up and down the court with the girls. And I don't know if she wanted to do that. The next junior, McKenna Feudy. McKenna took a year off of basketball. No question, she's all hustle. She doesn't back down from any challenges. She had a little rust on her game to start the year that eventually she knocked off as the season went along. She had a great attitude. She's very athletic and strong. She's one of our best rebounders. She has the ability to break the press as a guard as well as play the post. We're all hoping that next year she brings up her points that she scores per game. She had 18 points. This year she had 107 rebounds. Good plus-minus numbers. She is the recipient of the Hustle Award medal. Our next junior, Alexis Siegenthaler. She had some great moments on the varsity court. She made some big 3-pointers. She had a few games where she actually had double digits in rebounds. She had a few games where if they were unlimited, I'm sure she would have been in double digits in fouls too. So she did have some foul trouble from time to time. There's no doubt that she's got all the skills to be a really good basketball player. So next year we're looking forward to her having her best year as a pony. Alexa receives a free throw award medal because she shot 61% on the season, which is just 1 percentage point behind the two girls that won that award. So she's going to get a medal for that. Our next junior, Harley Dish. She had a wrist injury during middle school basketball season when she was helping out. So she started the season a little bit late. When she came back, she was definitely a scorer for us. Her first basket was a three-pointer about 15 seconds into the first game back against Argyle. She had a huge three-pointer against Argyle at home to tie the game and send it into overtime. That's a great memory that we won't forget, that's for sure. I think she's going to be one of the best players in the conference coming back next season. So looking forward to that. Harley was the winner of the Point Guard Award. She led the team in assists, and she was also the winner of our free throw shooting award. She shot 62% from the free throw line. And then our last junior, Mackie Eartham. She does so many things well. Great rebounder, shot blocker, defender. She had 80 blocked shots this season. There were times where she was asked to bring the ball up the court, which is going to happen next year too, I'm sure. The second half of the Williams Bay game, she took over and dominated. Maybe it had something to do with her cheering section that game. She's improved each year. There's no question she's going to be one of the best players coming back in the conference next season. So she won a few awards. She won the Windex Award, which is our rebounding award. She had 192 rebounds. She won our Performance Points Award with 504, more than twice as many as the person who finished in second. She also tied for the Free Throw Award with a 62% from the line. And Mackie was also awarded All-Conference Honorable Mention. All right. So now we'll take a second to talk a little bit about each of the seniors and what they contributed over their 4 years here. We'll start off with Sarah Bloomer. You can see that there are some career statistics for her. She is going to receive a Pony Forever plaque. Definitely hustle would describe Sarah, especially on defense. She caused a lot of havoc for the opponents that we played. She's been a great teammate for the last 4 years. There were many games where we would ask her to be a one-person press, and that helped to turn the momentum of the game. I remember our game against Judah at home this year. She caused a lot of problems by just being up there and pressing Judah all by herself. And they turned it over a couple times, which helped us. She's very coachable, and she was always a joy to have in practice. Sarah is the recipient of the 2019-2020 Hustle Award. The next senior is Maggie Bach. She worked hard for the last 4 years. She really started to come into her own this season. She had some really good games early on, double figures in scoring, lots of rebounds, and then really turned it on late in the year. We kind of went to a new offense the last couple games of the season, and she embraced it, and she excelled at it. She did make a couple three-pointers. She was a good shot blocker and rebounder, and she had some nice moves to the basket this year. She rarely complained about anything, even when she sprained her ankle again during the season. She was also very coachable, joy to have in practice. Maggie was awarded the Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Association Team First Award. Our next senior is Allie Risley. She was a 4-year basketball player that started out, I think, as a freshman that just played in order to keep in shape for track. She was always a hustler, always pushed the other players around her to get better. Allie spent a lot of time this past offseason working on her game, and it helped her to become a player that was in during crunch time and a player that went in to bring energy to the team, get a key rebound here or there, a key steal. No question, she's got the best arc on her shots of anybody in the conference. She improved each year as a player, but most importantly, she was fun to coach and was a leader by example. Allie is the recipient of the Hustle Award Medal. And then our last senior, Maya Brockup. You can see her career statistics, 452 points, 472 performance points. She played in 68 total varsity games. That's a lot. She was a 4-year player for us. Her sophomore season, she started and then developed into one of the best players in the conference by the time she was a senior. This year, she had a career high of 31 points against Judah. She made 7 3-pointers against Peck in the first half, like I mentioned before. And she had 2 other games with 6 3-pointers. She was a leader on the court and in practice. Her shooting percentage from the time she was a sophomore to the time she was a senior improved almost 20 percentage points, which is pretty amazing. She finished near the top of Division V for 3-point shooting percentage. This season, she shot 37% from behind the 3-point line. She's perfect because we love the 3-point shot, so she's an ideal player for the team. She's very knowledgeable regarding the game and was asked to do a lot for us this season. I know there were times that she was exhausted on the court. Eventually, I think she got up enough nerve to say, I need a break, which I was glad she did. Very important asset to the team. She led by example, motivated the team in many ways. She was so much fun to coach. Having her and her sister on the team together was very entertaining at times, no doubt about it. So we are very proud of what she has accomplished on the basketball court here in her 4 years. Maya was the winner of the Sharpshooter Award for 2019-20. She was also named All-Conference Honorable Mention and will be playing in the Conference All-Star Game on July 31st, at least as of right now. I don't know if that will change or not. So I'd just like to say a good luck to our seniors. Thank you for everything that you have done. They are definitely role models that our underclassmen should look up to. So here is a picture of the team. For the last 3 years, I've been wanting the letter M somehow to be formed during the national anthem so we would look cool, but they always fought me on it. So for our team picture, we finally were able to figure out how to form an M, and then we did it a few times before games. So of all the accomplishments this year, this is probably one of the most proud that I have for the girls, is they were able to form the letter M. Good job. So right now, we'll have a quick look at what the actual awards look like that the girls won. And most importantly, there was a lot of improvement from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. So that leads us to the off season, where you can still continue to improve. There's going to have to be a lot of individual work as of right now. We're not really 100% sure what the summer is going to bring. I can tell you that July 7th, 14th, and 21st are Tuesday nights for the Monroe League. They moved it back from June to July. So as of right now, those 3 Tuesdays are what we're looking at for our league. We normally have a tournament here July 11th. Probably not going to happen, because if they don't allow spectators, we would lose money doing it. And I know it's not all about money, but we kind of have to make a little bit of money when we do it. But that's still up in the air, but I highly doubt it's going to happen. So like I said, other than that, get a basketball in your hand, do some shooting, ball handling. Our turnovers were very high this past year. We need to improve on that. And our free throw shooting needs to get better too. But all in all, it was a good season. I think the girls accomplished as much as we could have. Looking forward again to next year. So without any further ado, please enjoy the highlight video.